I've been asked to write a personal victim statement. But how do you write about something that has made you feel so numb and empty and abnormal? Something so deep, so personal, so embarrassing that has literally changed me for the rest of my existence. And that night you stole me from me forever. I'm literally living in hell.
A young woman fighting to find the right words after being wronged in the most brutal, devastating way. A young woman, Brooklyn is not her real name, whose life was destroyed on a night out near home.
I was just out in town like a normal 21-year-old, just doing what you do when you're young. And in all of that, I was just in a relationship at the time. I was just out with him and his crowd.
As she and her boyfriend walk home, a stranger begins to follow them. You can see him here, captured on a doorbell camera. He walks right beside them.
He just wouldn't leave, he just wouldn't go away. And it turned into a bit of a argumentative situation because he just wouldn't go away.
During the row, Brooklyn becomes separated from her boyfriend. She can be seen here running away. But the man harassing the couple pursues her. Clearly traumatised, this is the moment in her police interview. She told them what happened next.
I just remember being on the floor, thinking just gotta wait now until it's over. I just remember him. He had his arm on my neck, and he was on top of me. But every time I was saying no, what you doing? No, stop. Where's my boyfriend? No.
I had come into work for an early shift.
Detective Constable Lisa Hampson is the specialist officer who was allocated Brooklyn's case within hours of the attack.
There's been an alleged rape and it's happened in the town centre. We don't know who the suspect is. She is injured, she's distraught. It sounds strange, but you can see the trauma, and she was very shaken up, very shocked, very scared, in disbelief, worried, all of those things.
Do you think she was worried about whether you believed her at that stage or not?
I would like to say no, I didn't get that impression. I explained it straight away as soon as we got there, me and my colleague, that we were there to try and find out who's done this and to try to get some justice for you.
Sussex, alongside all police forces across the country, have been tasked by the Home Office with transforming the way they investigate rape. Record low charge and conviction rates for rape has seen the introduction of Operation Soteria. Officers must focus less on the credibility of the victim, more on the suspect, taking better care of the victim as they move through the criminal justice system. Today, the Home Secretary tells us 4,500 officers have now received specialist training. Here in Sussex, charge rates have doubled.
Approaching a victim of an offence like this, they're already coming from a position of distrust. If these people that this has happened to don't perceive you as someone that's there to help them, and you're not judgmental, and you've got no preconceived ideas, and they just know you're there to help them, which you are, if you get that across, you can gain someone's trust, and that's the only way.
Lisa made it so I could breathe at the same time this was all going on. Just knew I had someone brilliant on my side, so passionate, and I just was so lucky to have her on my case.
They had hoped forensic evidence from a medical examination would give them a lead, but early on, a setback.
They didn't have his DNA on the system at first. The wait is hard, and you just have to wait and wait.
But then, 3 months in, a breakthrough for both women.
And that day I got that email DNA here. So this offender had been arrested for an unrelated offence, fairly minor. But he was brought into police custody and his DNA was taken, and yeah, there was a hit.
When you get that call and you hear just what you just needed to hear for so long, it's just a feeling that you just can never, ever describe.
You are under arrest on suspicion of raping a female over the age of 16 in September last year.
The DNA belongs to 26-year-old Sarhang Farhad from Iraq. He's arrested and brought in for questioning.
Did he push her to the floor and have sex with her against her will?
No, never. No, never. He's never done that.
He's charged, but it's far from over as she waits for the trial. At many points, she says she considered withdrawing entirely from the process. Lisa always in the background, always offering support.
At one point, I wasn't even going to go to court. I think it's so easy to want to shut down and run away and hide away from the whole world.
I would respond with, please don't make any rash decisions. If you're having a bad time and at that moment you can't deal with it, just let me know you're having a bad time and I'll give you some space. So it's all about communication.
He says, for God's sake, I don't know.
Initially, he claims never to have met Brooklyn. As the investigation continues, he changes tack and claims she consented to sex. Just weeks away from the trial, he finally admits raping her.
The judge gave him 9 years. It's a bit of mixed emotions. You feel this sense of relief and happiness and joy in a way, but you still feel drained and tired and empty because it's over now. But you feel like that, but the main feeling is he got what he deserved through the justice system. And I wouldn't have been able to feel that closure personally if that did not happen.
Brooklyn's clear that however hard, for her, going to the police was the right thing to do. That in the end she was glad she stuck with it. She got justice. With the case over, she must now try to find the person she says she's lost.
I used to be happy, I used to be confident, I used to be quite a laugh, I had a personality, I was ambitious, and now I feel like I'm drowning all the time.
Obviously she'll never forget, but I hope that she learns to live the best life she can and just get some peace and be happy.
And if you've been affected by any of the issues raised in that report, you can seek help by going to channel4.com/support. Well, earlier I spoke exclusively to the Home Secretary, James Cleverly, and I began by asking him for his response to Brooklyn's story.
I was really struck by how strong she was, and obviously she's been through an awful ordeal, but had the the strength and the perseverance and the determination to go through the investigation, and ultimately that has led to someone being charged and imprisoned. And I thank her for sticking with it. And obviously, it was difficult. It was difficult listening. It really was.
This is all part of your Operation Soteria, which is supposed to be transformational in the investigation of rape. Critical is the officer here.
Yeah.
And you can see that throughout this piece, how critical the officer is. You need to see more of that, don't you, across the piece?
Operation Soteria is how we make real that desire for a greater degree of professionalism. It means that there is now a cadre of officers across UK policing who are trained at very, very high levels, specifically in the investigation of rape and serious sexual offences. Actually, today, we can announce that we have 4,500, more than doubling of our commitment. That means we have specialist officers in every police force area. And as your report highlighted, having those expert officers is an absolute game changer.
Absolutely. The government keeps talking about getting back to 2016 levels of charging, talking about it as a hugely stretching ambition. It's a sign of how big a crisis this is, isn't it? That the idea of going backwards 8 years is being celebrated as progress.
No, that's the wrong way of looking at it, if you don't mind me saying. In terms of the charge rates, which is the figure that you're responding to, the proportion of investigations that go to charge, that needs to be seen in the context of a very significant increase in the number of investigations, the number of prosecutions, the number of referrals to the Crown Prosecution Service.
In the 2021 rape review, only 1.6% of all cases reported resulted in a charge, something that was regarded...
reported in a charge within that 12 months. That's the figure.
All cases reported resulted in a charge. It was the metric by which your transformational seminal rape review, on which it was based. Something I think that we all felt was an absolute scandal. Now that charge rate has changed. At the end of 2023, like for like, it's now 2.6. If you're a woman who's just been raped and you're looking at a 2.6% chance of your case being, even going as far as charge, you don't fancy your odds.
Well, and this is, and I know, and so one of the challenges that we have got, and we've always had, is to encourage survivors, encourage people who've been through this traumatic experience.
These numbers are not encouraging, are they? They're not confidence-inspiring.
No, I am addressing that. I am addressing that, if you let me. And I completely understand the message that people may hear, that there is a very, very low chance of success.
That is fact.
But what we have seen is a significant increase from a very low base. I would say that the best chance of getting a resolution is to stick with it. And I know it's hard. And I've spoken to investigators. And the fact that we have got this larger pool of specialist officers makes the chances better.
60% of women
I would encourage,
currently step away from the process.
I know, and I would encourage them to stick with it. But my question back to you is, what would you suggest? Because if we're implying that there's no point in coming forward, then perpetrators will go unpunished.
But we have to be honest with women about the situation as it stands, don't we?
Yes, absolutely, but...
And it's not... It's trust and confidence has been shattered.
Yeah,
and it's been shattered, many people would argue, on the government's watch since 2010, because we saw a collapse in charge and conviction rates around 2017, 2018. And we're now struggling to get back to that point.
No, what we are seeing is significant improvements. The review looked at what needed to change. Operation Soteria drove that change, and we are now seeing much more successful outcomes.
What would you say would be an acceptable charge rate to aim for? We know that the charge rate for murder is more than 60%. Plucking a figure, I'm not sure is useful or helpful. What we, of course, the rape review did that. Gave us a metric, didn't it?
What of course we want to see is those figures continually increasing. We want to see the number of prosecutions continue to increase, and they have increased. The number of referrals to the CPS increase, and they have increased. We want to see the number of prosecutions, the charges increase. Now, all those things have increased and are heading in the right direction.
But we also know that the average wait time for rape victims to get to court is more than a year. We know in some parts of the country that can be 2, 3, even 4 years. That has to change too, doesn't it?
Well, this is why actually we've recruited significantly more judges to make sure that we reduce those times. And again, that helps to make sure the people who are going through this process stick with the process.
Finally, what does it mean to you to get this right?
This is the job in the British political system that has most direct impact on making life better for women and girls. And I'm absolutely determined to do everything that I can to achieve that.
Home Secretary, thank you very much for talking to us.
Thank you.